Welcome back to Quarter Dollar, where today we're diving deep into the mysterious world of the Liberty Cap large cent, coins so rare and packed with history that just holding one feels like touching the birth of America itself. These aren't just old pennies, they're treasures that can turn a dusty jar find into life-changing money. Some have sold for jaw-dropping prices you wouldn't believe, the kind of figures that make collectors' hearts skip a beat. If you love uncovering coin secrets and rare finds, make sure to subscribe here. Also check out my second channel, US Mint Mysteries, where we dig even deeper into the stories behind America's rarest coins. Hit that subscribe button on both channels so you don't miss a single discovery. I've dropped the link to US Mint Mysteries in the first comment below. Go check it out. So get ready, because each coin we uncover today will pull you further into a story of rarity, history, and staggering value. First up, the 1790 for Liberty Cap large cent, a coin that's more than 230 years old and a direct link to America's earliest days. Just imagine it. This coin was struck when George Washington was president, and the United States was still finding its footing as a young nation. Back then, every cent mattered, and each one was made by hand at the Philadelphia Mint. The Liberty Cap design, with Lady Liberty facing right and wearing a soft cap on a pole behind her, was a powerful symbol of freedom taken straight from the ideals of the American Revolution. Each coin was made from pure copper, about the size of a modern half-dollar, and every single one came out with slight differences because the dies were hand-engraved. That means no two coins are exactly alike, which adds to their charm and value. Now, the 1790 for issue is especially desirable because it comes in multiple die varieties, and some are so rare that only a handful exist today. Even in heavily circulated condition, where the details are worn smooth from decades of use in colonial pockets, this coin can easily sell for over $1,500. But here's where it gets exciting. Find one in a mid-grade condition with clear details on Liberty's face and the cap, and you might be looking at $15,000 to $25,000. Go even higher into the mint state range, with a coin that somehow survived without major wear, and the value skyrockets into the $200,000 to $350,000 range. And if you happen to own one of those elusive rare die varieties, especially in top condition, auction prices can push past an unbelievable $450,000. Asterisk collectors go wild for the 1790 because it represents the dawn of US coinage artistry. The plankets or copper blanks often have old minting quirks, tiny planchette cracks, uneven edges, or light strike areas. While in modern coins these might be seen as defects, in early coppers they can actually add character and even boost the value, especially when the flaw helps identify a rare die pairing. A coin like this in your hand is not just a collectible, it's a piece of living history, a survivor from the first decade of American coinage, and one of the few remaining witnesses to an era when coins were made slowly, deliberately, and with the spirit of a brand new nation. So if you ever come across a large, thick copper coin with the date 1790 and Liberty wearing that distinctive cap, don't hesitate. You could be holding a piece worth more than a luxury car, a year's salary, or even a house. Check both sides carefully. Look for those sharper details. And remember, with coins like this, condition and rarity can transform a humble-looking piece of copper into a small fortune. Next up, we're about to uncover another Liberty Cap large cent that carries an even more fascinating twist in its story, and you won't want to miss just how far its value can climb. Next up, the 1795 Liberty Cap large cent, a coin that tells a story of transition and subtle design changes that only seasoned collectors truly appreciate. Struck just 1 year after the famous 1794, this coin comes from a time when the mint was still experimenting with designs, dies, and even the quality of the copper they used. Liberty still faces right, proudly wearing her soft Liberty cap, but if you look closely, the portrait style in 1795 often appears a little more refined. That's because different engravers worked on the dies, leaving behind slight artistic differences that are a treasure trove for specialists. Asterisk this year is special because it's the last of the right-facing Liberty cap designed before the mint. Switch to Liberty facing left in 1796. That alone makes the 1795 a last-of-its-kind coin, a detail that always stirs up bidding wars at auctions. And let's talk rarity. While the mint struck thousands, time and circulation have been merciless. Today, truly problem-free examples are scarce, and high-grade pieces are almost never seen outside of major auctions, asterisk in a low, well-worn grade. The kind you might find in an old box of inherited coins. A genuine 1795 can still fetch $1,200 to $2,000. Step up to a nicer mid-grade with more visible hair strands on Liberty and a clear date, and you're easily in the $12,000 to $18,000 range. But here's where the jaw drops. Mint state examples, with smooth surfaces and rich chocolate brown or reddish copper luster, can leap past $200,000. And if you cross into rare die varieties, especially the famous lettered edge or scarce overdate varieties, you're looking at coins that can touch $400,000 to $500,000 or more in the right bidding room, asterisk. One thing that makes early coppers like the 1795 even more intriguing is how each coin shows signs of its handmade birth. Planchet streaks, die cracks, and slight off-center strikes are not just acceptable, they're part of the charm. In fact, certain errors from this year, like double strikes or weakly impressed letters, can push a collector's excitement and the value even higher. The combination of being a key early American coin, having multiple collectible varieties, and marking the end of an era in design makes this year's Liberty Cap Large Cent a true centerpiece for any serious collection. Asterisk. So, if you ever see a hefty copper coin dated 1795 with that proud Liberty cap, take a moment to really look. Every scratch, every quirk in the metal, every tiny difference in lettering could be the clue that turns a nice old coin into a once-in-a-lifetime treasure. Asterisk. Before we move to the next one, a quick reminder, if you're enjoying uncovering these rare coin stories, make sure you're subscribed here. Also check out my second channel, US Mint Mysteries. I've linked it in the first comment below so you can keep the discoveries going. Asterisk. Moving on, the next Liberty Cap Large Cent on our list takes rarity to an entirely different level, and its auction price will leave you speechless. Next up, the 1796 Liberty Cap Large Cent, and this one is a game changer in the world of early American copper. This year marks the first time Liberty was turned to face left, giving the design a completely new look that would carry through the rest of the Liberty Cap series. It was a bold shift for the Philadelphia Mint, and the result was a coin that feels instantly different from its predecessors. But there's another twist. 1796 is also the year the Mint introduced the draped bust design later in the year, meaning the left-facing Liberty Cap was struck for just a short period. That short run makes this coin an absolute key date for collectors. Asterisk. When you hold a 1796, you're looking at a transitional piece in every sense of the word. The engraving style is more refined, the lettering sharper, and the cap itself often appears more pronounced. But because it was struck in such limited numbers, surviving examples are scarce. Many that still exist have seen heavy wear and finding one without corrosion, rim damage, or smoothing is a serious challenge. Even in a heavily circulated state, this coin easily starts around $2,000 to $3,500. Step into a solid mid-grade example with a readable date, strong profile, and decent surface color, and you're comfortably in the $20,000 to $35,000 range. Asterisk. Now, here's where it gets thrilling. Mint state coins from this year are almost mythical. The few that exist are in the hands of major collections and rarely come to market. When they do, prices can soar past $300,000. And if you're talking about the rare reverse of 1790 for variety, where the wreath on the back matches the older style from previous years, You're stepping into territory where a coin can easily push for $150,000 or more. That's the kind of number that leaves even experienced collectors stunned. Asterisk. One of the most fascinating aspects of the 1796 Liberty Cap is how its short mintage run makes every detail matter. A sharper strike, attractive natural patina, and problem-free surfaces can mean the difference between a valuable coin and a once-in-a-lifetime find. And like other early coppers, quirky minting characteristics, slightly off-center designs, die cracks, or faint doubling can actually increase desirability. Each coin is unique, telling its own story of how it survived over 2 centuries to end up in a collector's hands today. Asterisk, if you ever spot that left-facing Liberty Cap with the date 1796, don't second-guess it. Even a worn example can be worth more than a new car, and a high-grade or rare variety could change your financial story in an instant. Asterisk next, we're going to look at a Liberty Cap large cent that isn't just rare. It's tied to one of the lowest mintages in the entire series, and its value will absolutely blow you away. Next up, the 1798 Liberty Cap large cent, a coin that's part of one of the most fascinating years in early U.S. copper history. By 1798, the Philadelphia Mint was deep into refining its designs and improving die work, and the Liberty Cap large cent of this year reflects that progress. Liberty still faces left, wearing the symbolic soft cap on a pole behind her, but the portrait feels a touch bolder and more defined compared to earlier years. The reverse shows the familiar laurel wreath, but here's the kicker: 1798 isn't just one coin. It's a year loaded with multiple die varieties and letter style differences that make collectors absolutely obsessed. Asterisk, some of these varieties are incredibly scarce. For example, there are rare small 8 and large 8 date styles, differences in the fraction on the reverse, and even the famous reverse of 1795 design carried over by mistake on some coins. These tiny differences can mean the difference between a collectible worth a few thousand and a rarity that commands 6 figures at auction. Asterisk, in lower, well-worn grades, a 1798 Liberty Cap can still start around $900 to $1,500, depending on the variety. In mid-grade condition, with sharp detail in Liberty's hair and a clear date, values can shoot to $12,000 or $18,000, but the real fireworks happen with mint state examples. Rich, chocolate brown copper with crisp strikes can hammer for $200,000 to $300,000, and if you're holding one of the ultra-rare varieties in mint state, especially with original surfaces and touched for more than 2 centuries, you're stepping into $450,000 territory or more. Asterisk, part of what makes 1798 so thrilling for collectors is the sheer variety of possible discoveries. Many of these coins show interesting mint quirks, uneven strikes, die cracks, or letter spacing variations, all of which can help pinpoint an exact die marriage, giving your coin a special place in numismatic history. Early coppers were handcrafted works of art, and 1798 is a prime example of that charm. Asterisk, so if you ever find yourself examining a hefty copper cent with the date 1798, take your time. Study the numbers in the date, the shape of the letters, the wreath style, and even the fraction on the back. Any of these small details could be your clue that you're holding not just a rare early American coin, but a true numismatic prize that could change your collection forever. Asterisk, up next, we're about to step into another year where rarity spikes, values climb into unbelievable heights, and a single variety can make collectors drop everything just to own it. Next up, the 1802 Liberty Cap large cent, and this one proves that even in extremely bad condition, early American copper can still be a prize worth holding onto. Picture a coin that's been through more than 2 centuries of circulation. Its surface is dark and pitted, the details worn almost flat, the date barely clinging to visibility. To the untrained eye, it might look like nothing more than a worthless old disc of copper. But in the world of numismatics, even a heavily worn 1802 can surprise you. Asterisk, this coin comes from the final years of the Liberty Cap design before the draped buzz cent took over completely. By 1802, the mint's equipment was still far from perfect. So even when these coins were new, many left the presses with weak strikes, uneven edges, and surface flaws. Combine that with decades of daily use in the pockets and tills of early America, and it's no wonder most surviving examples are in rough shape today. But here's the magic: even an extremely worn, almost dateless 1802 Liberty cap can still sell for $60 to $150 if it's problem-free and authentic. Now, if the coin manages to have a clearly readable date despite its wear, that value jumps quickly to $300 or $400. And if, by some miracle, you found a high-grade or rare variety, like the famous 1802 over 0 inches overdate, in better condition, you could be staring at a coin worth $25,000, $50,000, or in pristine mint state, $300,000 or more. The irony is, the rare varieties are often misidentified in bad condition because the wear hides the little clues that experts look for. That's why early copper specialists will still study even the roughest pieces under magnification. You never know when a beat-up cent might turn out to be an elusive variety worth a small fortune. Asterisk collectors are drawn to coins like the 1802 because they carry the marks of history in their very surfaces. Every nick, scratch, and worn-down detail tells a story. Maybe it was used to buy bread in a dusty general store. Maybe it passed through the hands of a Revolutionary War veteran. Maybe it lay in the ground for decades before being dug up. That deep connection to America's past is why even the poorest examples still hold value. So, the next time you see a dark, worn copper coin in a box of junk change, look twice. That battered piece might just be an 1802 Liberty cap large cent, and even in terrible condition, it could still put cash in your pocket. Next, we'll look at a Liberty cap cent where rarity takes center stage, and the value potential will make your jaw drop. Next up, the 1804 Liberty cap large cent, a coin that instantly makes seasoned collectors lean forward because of its place in early American copper history. By 1804, the Philadelphia Mint was nearing the end of the Liberty cap design era, and this year's cents have a character all their own. Liberty still faces left, the soft cap perched behind her on a slender pole, with flowing hair and a determined profile. The reverse holds the familiar laurel wreath surrounding 1 cent, but here's where things get interesting. 1804 was a year of multiple die varieties and small design differences that have kept numismatists buzzing for generations. The most famous of these is the 1804 over 3 inches overdate variety, where the numeral 3 from an earlier die can be faintly seen beneath the final digit for in the date. This happened because the mint reused older dies to save time and money, simply repunching the last digit instead of creating an entirely new die. These overdates are highly sought after and can send prices soaring, especially in higher grades, asterisk in a heavily circulated state, where Liberty's features are worn smooth but the date is still readable. An 1804 for large cent can fetch $80 to $150. In stronger grades, with hair detail and sharper lettering, the value quickly climbs into the $800 to $1,500 range. But when you step into fine and very fine condition, especially with appealing natural brown or chocolate patina, you're suddenly looking at $5,000 to $12,000. Now here's where the real shock comes. In mint state, with full luster and bold detail, these coins can hit $100,000 to $200,000. And if you're holding the rare 1804 for over 3 variety in that same pristine condition, you're talking about a coin that could break $350,000 at auction. Asterisk, what makes the 1804 so captivating isn't just its value. It's how it bridges to important eras in US coinage. It represents the maturity of the Liberty cap design, with improved engraving and more consistent quality, but it also stands just before major changes in style that would arrive in the early 1800s. Add to that the quirks of early copper, planchette streaks, die cracks, and slightly off-center strikes, and each surviving example feels like a one-of-a-kind artifact. Asterisk, so If you come across a thick copper coin with the date 1804, pay close attention. Look at that last digit under magnification. You might just spot the faint shadow of a 3, and if you do, you're holding a coin that could be worth more than most people's annual salary. Next, we're about to see a Liberty Cap cent from the very first year of the 19th century that hides a twist, making it far rarer than it first appears, and its auction record will absolutely stun you. Next up, the 1806 Liberty Cap large cent, a coin that stands out because by this point, the Liberty Cap design was in its final chapter, and the mint was already preparing to phase it out for good. The engraving style in 1806 is slightly more polished than in earlier years, with Liberty's profile sharper, her hair strands more delicately rendered, and the familiar Liberty Cap resting on a tall, thin pole behind her. But here's the catch. This year's cents were struck in relatively small numbers compared to earlier mintage totals, and the survival rate of problem-free examples is low. That combination makes 1806 one of the more desirable later date Liberty Caps. Collectors get particularly excited over the 1806 because of its die varieties. Some coins show large 6s in the date, others small 6s, and a handful even have spacing quirks in the numerals. These subtle differences don't just make the coin interesting. They can send its value soaring, even in poor condition. With nearly all the design worn away, an 1806 can still bring $40 to $80. A more solid, evenly worn coin with a strong date and partial details will easily push $300 to $600 but the magic happens in higher grades. A very fine example with clear hair definition and strong reverse lettering can climb into the $3,000 to $5,000 range. Step into mint state territory, an almost mythical find for this year, and prices can shoot past $100,000, and if you pair that with a rare die variety in pristine condition, you could be looking at $200,000 to $300,000 or more in the right auction. What makes this year's coins even more fascinating is the personality each one carries from the minting process. In 1806, planchette quality wasn't always perfect, and many coins show streaks in the copper, tiny laminations, or light strike areas. Far from hurting the value, these quirks can help identify the exact die pairing, turning your coin into a documented part of early US mint history. For specialists, that connection to a specific die marriage can mean intense bidding competition and prices far above standard catalog values. So if you ever stumble across a thick copper coin with the date 1806 and Liberty still wearing her symbolic cap, don't brush it off as just another old cent. Even a worn-down piece could buy you a weekend getaway, and a top-grade example might just change your bank account forever. Next, we're heading into a Liberty Cap cent with a year that hides one of the trickiest varieties in the entire series, and spotting it could be your ticket to a life-changing payday. Next up, the 1807 Liberty Cap large cent, the very last year this iconic design ever rolled off the presses at the Philadelphia Mint. That alone makes it a milestone coin, but the story gets even better. In 1807, the mint was in the middle of a major transition to the new draped bust and classic head designs, meaning the Liberty Cap dies were on borrowed time. Production was limited, and every single surviving 1807 is a direct link to the final chapter of an American coinage era. The portrait still shows Liberty facing left, her flowing hair and tall Liberty Cap standing proudly behind her. But if you study closely, you'll notice this year's engraving has a slightly different style. Some examples have bolder lettering, others a sharper wreath on the reverse, all because multiple dies and engravers were used in the rush to complete the year's output. And here's where things get exciting. The 1807 comes with multiple die varieties, including the famous small 7 inches and large 7 inches date styles, and in some cases, rare die breaks that create dramatic cracks across the coin's surface. Now, even in heavily circulated condition, where Liberty's features are faint and the surfaces are worn smooth, in 1807 still starts around $40 to $75. A solid mid-grade with a strong date and visible hair strands can fetch $300 to $600 and higher. Circulated grades like very fine or extremely fine, prices climb into the $2,500 to $4,000 range, especially for coins with smooth, original chocolate brown surfaces, but the leap happens in mint state. Uncirculated 1807s, with crisp details and that rich copper luster and touch for over 2 centuries, can soar past $80,000 to $120,000 in a rare die variety in pristine condition, and the bidding can hit $200,000 or more. The historical weight of owning the final Liberty Cap year adds a premium all its own. Serious collectors will pay extra just for the bragging rights of completing the set with the series farewell issue. What makes the 1807 even more appealing is how it represents the bridge between two eras. On one side, it closes the book on the rugged, handcrafted artistry of the early mint. On the other, it stands at the threshold of more modern designs and striking methods. Every surviving piece, whether worn to the bone or preserved like new, carries that sense of finality and transition. So, if you ever see the date 1807 on a big, heavy copper cent with the Liberty Cap, know that you're holding the last of its kind, the end of a design that started back in the nation's infancy. Even the humblest example could bring a nice return, but a high-grade variety could deliver a payday that would make any collector's heart race. And there you have it, 9 incredible Liberty Cap large cents, each with its own history, quirks, and values that can jump from a few $100s to nearly $500,000. Keep your eyes open, check your old boxes and change jars, and you might just uncover one of these treasures hiding in plain sight. Got it! You want the *** 1817 large cent *** in the same storytelling flow, but stretched to around *** 700 words ***, so it plays for about 2 to 3 minutes in your video. Here's the expanded next up. We have the 1817 Matron head large cent, a coin that sits right at the heart of early 19th century US coinage. This year is a favorite among collectors because it not only represents the early years of the Matron head design, but also offers one of the most famous minting quirks in the large cent series, the 15-star variety. This was an engraver's mistake, where the coin ended up with 1 extra star instead of the traditional 13 representing the original colonies. Errors like this are fascinating because they tell you so much about the minting process of the time. Every step back then was done by hand, from die engraving to striking, so small mistakes were inevitable. And those mistakes are now what collectors chase the most. The Matron head design had been introduced in 1816 to replace the earlier classic head, which itself had replaced the Liberty Cap. By 1817, this new look was still fresh. Lady Liberty's face appeared fuller and more refined. Her hair was arranged in neat curls, and her headband proudly displayed the word Liberty. The reverse featured the familiar large wreath encircling the denomination 1 cent, with United States of America around the rim. What makes coins from this time especially charming is their large size. At 27 to 29 millimeters across, they feel substantial in the hand, nothing like the small modern cents we're used to today. When it comes to condition, most surviving 1817 large cents show heavy wear. These coins were workhorses of early American commerce. An 1817 cent could easily have been passed from hand to hand for 40 or 50 years before being retired. As a result, it's common to see them with smooth surfaces, faded details, and weak features, especially in the high points like Liberty's hair, face, and the wreath on the reverse. But even these worn examples have a lot of charm, and they remain collectible because of their age and history. Now, here's where the excitement builds. The value jump when you find a coin in better condition. In lower grades like good G4, a standard 1817 large cent might bring $25 to $40, depending on its color and surface quality. Step up to extremely fine XF or about uncirculated O, and you might be looking at $200 to $400 for the normal variety. And for uncirculated examples, especially those with glossy, original brown, or even traces of original red mint luster, the price can climb well above $1,000. These top-grade pieces are rare because so few coins survive to 100+ years without significant wear or damage. Asterisk, and that's just for the regular issue. The 15-star variety is a whole different story. In low grades, you might get $100 to $200 for one, but if you find it in high-end condition, you're talking serious money, well into the thousands, and in top mint state. Some have crossed the $20,000 mark at major auctions. The demand for this variety is strong because it's not just a minor die variation. It's a visible, easily explained minting blunder that makes for great storytelling when showing the coin to others. Asterisk, but the 1817 large cent also hides smaller treasures. Some coins were struck from dies that developed cracks, creating visible raised lines on the coin's surface. These die cracks can sometimes be traced through different die states, allowing collectors to build sets showing the progression of the die's wear. Others show tiny differences in lettering or leaf shapes, leading to cataloged Newcomb varieties named after Howard Newcomb, who studied early copper coin dies in great detail. While not all of these small varieties bring big premiums, the rare ones can turn a coin worth $50 into one worth several hundred. Asterisk, something else to note is color. Copper coins naturally tone over time, and collectors value even chocolate brown toning over cleaned or corroded surfaces. Harsh cleaning can strip away decades of patina, leaving a coin with an unnatural bright surface that's worth far less than a naturally aged example. If you ever find an 1817 large cent with smooth, original color, no corrosion, and sharp details, you've got something worth holding onto. Asterisk, this coin also serves as a time capsule from post-war of 1812 America. The nation was still young, only 41 years old, and expanding rapidly westward. Coins like the 1817 large cent would have been used to buy farm goods, tools, and other necessities in small towns and frontier markets. Each nick and scratch on its surface could tell a story. Maybe it was in the pocket of a traveling merchant, or used to pay for a newspaper reporting on President James Monroe's early years in office. Asterisk. So whether you're a seasoned collector, or just someone who enjoys finding old coins, the 1817 Matron head large cent offers a rewarding mix of history, artistry, and potential value. The regular issue is already a beautiful relic of its time, but the varieties, especially the 15-star, can transform this copper workhorse into a true prize. Keep an eye out for strong details, original surfaces, and that extra star, because sometimes one small mistake from over 200 years ago can be the detail that turns a humble old cent into a major collector's treasure.